All right, Cowboys Nation, stop everything you are doing right now because what I'm about to tell you is going to completely change how you view this offseason. The Dallas Cowboys have just dropped multiple bombshells on us, and I am not exaggerating when I say that some of these decisions have left me absolutely stunned. We are talking about restricted free agent moves that nobody saw coming. We are talking about the real truth behind that Brandon Aubrey contract situation that everybody on the internet has been getting completely wrong. And we are talking about decisions that could either make or break this Cowboys roster heading into what might be the most important season in recent memory. Now, before we dive into all of this chaos, I need you to do me a huge favor. If you are part of Cowboys Nation, if you bleed blue and silver, then smash that subscribe button right now. I am putting out daily content breaking down everything happening with this team, and I do not want you to miss a single update during this crazy offseason. We are building something special here, and I want you to be part of this family. Hit subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and let us get into this together, because trust me, you are going to want to hear what comes next. So let us start with the move that genuinely shocked me when I saw the report come through. Jordan Schultz broke the news first, and when I read it, I actually had to read it twice to make sure I was not seeing things. The Cowboys are not planning to tender center and guard Brock Hoffman as a restricted free agent. That means he is going to become an unrestricted free agent, free to sign with any team in the league. Now, let that sink in for a second, because this is a guy who started 14 games over the last 2 seasons. This is a guy who proved himself to be a valuable depth piece at 3 different positions along the interior offensive line. We are talking about center, left guard, and right guard. And the man is only 26 years old, which means he is entering what should be the prime years of his career. Here is why this decision is blowing my mind right now. Think about what happened last season with this offensive line. Cooper Beebe, your starting center, missed 4 games because of that ankle injury. What did the Cowboys do? They plugged in Brock Hoffman, and he held it down. The year before that, when Tyler Smith went down, who stepped up? Brock Hoffman. This guy has been the insurance policy that has kept this offensive line from completely falling apart when injuries hit, and we all know that injuries always hit in the NFL. Marcus Mocker from Lockdown Cowboys put out some numbers that really drive this point home. He pointed out that Brock Hoffman has an average PFF grade of 64.4 in his last 8 starts. Now, for those of you who do not follow the PFF grading system closely, a 60 grade is considered average. So Hoffman is grading out above average as a backup interior offensive lineman. Marcus made the point that very few teams in this league have a backup on the interior as good as Hoffman has been, and I think he is absolutely right about that. So what are the Cowboys thinking here? I have been trying to wrap my head around this all morning, and I think there are a few possibilities. Maybe they have a plan to address center depth through free agency or the draft. Maybe they are eyeing a 4th or 5th round pick who they think can develop into that role. But here's the thing that does not quite add up to me. If they had put the restricted free agent tender on Hoffman, they would have gotten him at a much better deal than whatever he is going to command on the open market. Teams are going to be interested in a 26-year-old who can play 3 positions on the offensive line. He is going to get paid. Now, there is one other angle I have been considering, and this might sound a little optimistic, but hear me out. Maybe this was an act of goodwill from the Cowboys organization. Maybe they knew Hoffman was going to get more money on the open market than they were willing to pay, and they decided to let him go out there and get his bag. In this league, that kind of gesture does not go unnoticed by other players and agents. It builds a reputation as an organization that treats its players right. Do I think that is what happened here? Honestly, I kind of doubt it, but it is at least a possibility worth considering. So that is decision number 1. And for all intents and purposes, Brock Hoffman will not be returning to the Dallas Cowboys. He is free to sign wherever he wants, and I would not be surprised at all if he ends up as a starting center somewhere else in this league. Now let us move on to some news that I actually feel really good about. Adam Schefter reported that the Cowboys have tendered defensive back Reddy Stewart. And I think this is the right move for this team in a lot of different ways. Let me explain why I feel that way. When you look at the Cowboys' defensive depth chart right now, especially in the secondary, it is in a really interesting and somewhat concerning spot. You have Trevon Diggs, who we all hope can stay healthy and return to that elite level. You have Deron Bland, who has been dealing with his own injury issues. You have Malik Hooker at safety and Jordan Lewis in the mix. But beyond those guys, who do you really trust back there? Here is what I think Christian Parker, the new defensive coordinator who came over from the Eagles, really wants to do. If he had it his way, he would bring in at least one more cornerback, a real starting caliber guy, and then he could move Darren Bland back to that nickel position where he absolutely dominated and broke the interception return record. You would have Bland in the nickel, Trevon Diggs on one side, and a new cornerback on the other. That is a secondary that could cause some real problems for opposing quarterbacks. So where does Reddy Stewart fit into all of this? Look, his PFF grade this past season was not going to blow anybody away, but you have to consider the context. This was basically his first full season playing meaningful snaps at the NFL level with the Cowboys. He was asked to step up in situations he probably was not ready for, and he competed. He gave effort every single snap, and in this league, that matters. Now, effort alone is not going to make you a starter, and I do not think Reddy Stewart is going to become a number one corner in this league. But what the Cowboys clearly see is a young player who has room to grow, especially now that he is going to be coached up by Christian Parker. Remember, Parker spent years as the defensive backs coach in Philadelphia, developing guys like Darius Slay and building one of the best secondaries in football. If anyone can help Reddy Stewart take that next step, it is probably Christian Parker. For the 2025 season, Stewart's role is probably going to be more of a depth piece, a guy who can come in and contribute when needed without the team having to panic. And honestly, that is valuable. You cannot have 11 starters on the field, and you need guys who can step in without everything falling apart. But here is the even bigger news that Todd Archer dropped on us this morning. The Cowboys have tendered both exclusive rights free agents, cornerback Josh Butler and Reddy Stewart. So now we know that both of these guys are coming back. They are under contract with the Cowboys and cannot sign with any other team. Now, here is where things get a little confusing, and I want to be transparent about this with you all. Todd Archer also said that the team is still working through final decisions on restricted free agents Brandon Aubrey, Brock Hoffman, TJ Bass, and Kamar Thomas. But wait. Did we not just say that Brock Hoffman is not coming back? Jordan Schultz reported that, but Archer is making it sound like a final decision has not been made. So either there are conflicting reports here, or maybe there is a small chance Hoffman could return after all. I personally find it very unlikely, but I wanted to put that out there because I always want to give you the full picture. As for Josh Butler, this is a guy who has dealt with some tough injury luck. He tore his ACL in the Thanksgiving game back in 2023, which is just brutal timing. He finally made it back for the final week of last season, so he is working his way back. But here is the thing. 2 years ago, when Mike Zimmer was running the defense, Butler was actually a bright spot. The coaches clearly see something in him, and they are willing to be patient while he gets healthy and develops. All right, now let us get to the topic that everybody has been arguing about online for the past week. Brandon Aubrey and his contract situation. There has been so much misinformation flying around about this that I really want to clear things up. Adam Schefter reported that Brandon Aubrey is expected to become the highest paid kicker in the NFL. That should not surprise anyone. The guy has been absolutely automatic since he entered the league, and he has already etched his name into the record books. But here's where it gets interesting. Schefter also raised the question of whether another team might try to pry him loose from the Cowboys. Now, the plan right now is to put a second-round tender on Aubrey. That means if another team wants to sign him, they would have to give up a second-round draft pick to the Cowboys. And when Joe White talked to Aubrey about about this, Brandon made it very clear how he feels. He believes he is the best kicker in the world, and he thinks he is worth more than a second-round tender. He said the tender would be a big pay raise, but it is not ideal. So here is the million-dollar question, or I guess I should say the multi-million-dollar question. Would any team actually give up a second-round pick for a kicker? My gut says absolutely not. That seems basically impossible when you think about the value teams place on draft capital. You would never use a second-round pick to draft a kicker, so why would you give one up to sign one? But here's the counter-argument, and I think it is at least worth considering. If you are a team that has had kicker problems for years, if you have lost multiple games because of missed field goals, and you know that Brandon Aubrey is legitimately the best in the business, maybe, just maybe you would consider it. Teams have done crazier things in this league. Now, I do have to point something out because I am always going to be honest with you. Brandon Aubrey missed more kicks this season than he did in his previous seasons. I am not trying to take anything away from him because he is still elite, but it is worth noting that he is human and there was some regression this year. Here is where the contract talk gets really murky. There were reports saying that Aubrey was offered $7.5 million per year, which would make him the highest paid kicker in the league. There were also reports saying he was asking for $10 million. But here is the thing. Nick Harris put out a report saying those numbers have not been corroborated by people with actual knowledge of the situation. And it gets even more interesting than that. Brandon Aubrey's wife has been commenting on posts about this. His agent has been putting out cryptic tweets about how the NFL Combine is where rumors spread rampant. So something is definitely off about the numbers that have been floating around. My personal read on this situation, I think Aubrey was probably offered a good deal, maybe somewhere around $7 million, but probably not the 7.5 that was reported. And I highly doubt he was asking for $10 million. There is a lot of noise around this story, and I think the truth is somewhere in the middle of all these reports. So let me give you the final summary of where things stand right now. Josh Butler and Reddy Stewart have been tendered and are coming back. Brock Hoffman appears to be heading out the door, though there might be a sliver of hope there. And final decisions are still being made on TJ Bass, Kamar Thomas, and of course, Brandon Aubrey. This is going to be a fascinating offseason to watch unfold. The Cowboys have some real decisions to make that are going to shape what this roster looks like when training camp opens. And you better believe I am going to be here breaking down every single move as it happens. That is all I have got for you today, Cowboys Nation. If you made it this far in the video, I genuinely appreciate you. Make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss any of these updates. Drop a comment below letting me know what you think about these decisions. Do you agree with letting Hoffman walk? Do you think someone might actually give up a second-round pick for Aubrey? I want to hear from you. Until next time, stay blessed, stay loud, and keep believing in this team. We will see you in the next one.